Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Door to Door. I'm Virginia Stanley, Director of Library Marketing at HarperCollins. Who's with me?
We're all with you, V. We're all
Yes.
with you. But me specifically, hi, I'm Chris Connolly with the library marketing team. Great to see everyone again.
I'm Lainey Mays with the library marketing team and glad to be here.
And once again, we have two wonderful, stellar authors here to talk about their books. We have New York Times bestselling author S.J. Watson, author of Before I Go to Sleep and Second Life, and his new book, Final Cut, is coming out on August 25th, so just around the corner. And also joining us is USA Today best-selling author of 11 books, I think it is, or 12, Pamela Crane, whose new book, Little Deadly Secrets, is out on August 18th. So we have to have a collective birthday cake, book birthday cake for both of you, because this is a very exciting month. And congratulations to both of you and welcome to our show. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you very much.
Great to be here.
Well, we couldn't be happier because we love to have authors on to talk about their books, connect with librarians. It's a strange time. Some libraries are open, some libraries are still shut, and some are in between. But it's a great way for us to connect our authors, for us to connect with our authors, and also for the authors to connect with librarians. And we were just talking, we're going to talk for a little bit, and then we'll put one of you in a virtual green room. But Steve, we were talking about ALA many moons ago, and your first book, Before I Go to Sleep, came out. Did you want to talk about that for a second, knowing that you're talking to librarians now?
Yeah, no, it was a really wonderful experience. I remember I didn't know what to expect. So I don't think we really have a similar thing over here in the UK. It was kind of a conference. Well, there probably is one, but I don't get invited to them. So it was really wonderful, and it was really great to meet people. And I remember there's so much enthusiasm about the book, so it was really lovely. I remember such a huge event. I don't think I've ever been in such a massive convention center. We were talking earlier, weren't we? I think it was New Orleans, but it was absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a really great time.
And as Chris pointed out, because it was in New Orleans, it's probably why we can't remember too much of the details.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And Pam, do you have a message or anything that you want to say to librarians?
No, just that we appreciate you and we want our libraries open so bad. I have 4 kids at home who are dying to get to the library again. So luckily, thank goodness for like online borrowing and stuff. So it helps keep my kids a little sane this summer. So we love our libraries though.
Well, they love you too, as evidenced by the success of all of your books. So we're looking forward to hearing you talk. We were just saying it's sometimes kind of difficult to talk about books that have sort of a twisty turn. So Chris and Lainey and I are always sort of like, what should we say? What shouldn't we say? Like, let's let the authors talk about their books, and then we won't be the ones sticking our foot in our mouths. But yeah, it's really, it's terrific. And, as we were saying before, librarians are really, we all had to sort of pivot quickly just a few short months ago, it seems, to figure out a new way for librarians to figure out how to serve their patrons, for authors to learn how to connect with librarians. And so we so appreciate both of you writing these really, really cool, twisty books. So, and we're glad to connect with librarians. So why don't we let's get this party started. Is there anything else, Chris, we want to say before Steve goes into the virtual green room to eat virtual candy?
No, I was just going to welcome Steve to any of the virtual snacks that you see back there. But no, we're thrilled to have you both on. And already we're having people tuning in from all over the country, and they're excited to hear more. So Steve, I guess I'll put you in the green room. We'll miss you, but we'll see you very, very soon. So
Great.
We'll go anywhere.
And don't forget to go get your dog.
I will. Yeah.
Show and tell time today here at Door to Door. Lots of surprises. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit, Steve.
See you in a bit. Bye.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Pam.
Hi, Virginia.
So good to see you. Now you're in.
Good
where
to
are
see
you?
you too.
where are you, Pam? Where are you coming
I'm
from?
in North Carolina. So nice little horse farm out in the middle of nowhere. So perfect writing place, because in the country, you just, all kinds of mysteries happen out here. So it's good inspiration.
I was going to say good fodder for the paper and the pen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have to mention your Library Love Fest post, because you did a guest post for us. Speaking of talking to librarians, and I think all of us just automatically, we were like, we love her. Like, this is the greatest post. It was so fun. So everybody, we'll put a link. You guys have to go read it. It was very nice.
Yeah, I told my kids that you guys think I'm cool, so I don't know if it scored any points with them, but I was like, hey, at least librarians think I'm cool. That's notch in my belt.
That's right. So, so Pam, your book goes on sale in a week. So
Mhm.
exciting.
Yay!
We're going to turn it to you now, so we don't say anything we shouldn't say. There's we share on the jacket. Do you love your jacket?
I do. I was so in love with it when I saw it, and because it's kind of hard, you never really have any idea what something's going to end up looking like. But I was very thrilled. So I've gotten lots of compliments on it. Not that I can take any credit, but that's all HarperCollins.
Okay, so why don't you tell everyone what you want them to know so that they go out and get the book?
Okay. Well, little introduction about me. I'm Pamela Crane, and my kids call me the Mental Mommy. So I even brought a T-shirt that my children made me that's dedicated to my mental mommyhood, which they started calling me that after I wrote my first psychological, like, domestic thriller, and I write about mothers and the drama that comes with family. So a little bit about Little Deadly Secrets. It's a story about motherhood, friendship, marriage. And as a crime writer, there's always a little dash of murder for you to solve for the mystery lovers. So we meet three women. We have Mackenzie, Robin, and Lily, and they've been best friends since college, which is actually inspired by a picture that I found when I was in college with two of my best friends, and we were doing these like Charlie Angels poses, and I remember being all dressed in goth. I think I was like Goth Spice or something after the Spice Girls, because they were really cool back then. Still cool. But I found this picture, and it made me think of my friendships back then and how we're still friends. And I was like, I wonder what would ever tear apart three very close friends. And that's how Little Deadly Secrets came about. We have these three close friends since college, and the trials that marriage, family, children, and friendship can take on such a close-knit group, and what can tear them apart. So that's basically the premise, and someone ends up dead, and you've got to figure out who it is and who done it. So it's got a little bit of, I don't give all the answers of, like, you don't start off the story knowing who's killed and who's and why, or who's doing it. And so your whole job as a reader is to get to know these three women and see which one whose traumas throughout the story are going to lead them to snap. And so yeah, that's the general gist of it. So
Yeah, it's really twisty and it's very engaging. The characters are terrific and relatable. I mean, they're really they're so well drawn. And yeah, that's pretty much that's about as much as you can say about them.
oh, Lainey, if you want to show the trailer, that kind of captures the theme of the book in like a second. 24 seconds actually.
So great.
That's a great trailer. I love that. And
Yes,
it's
like, yeah, I love. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was just, yeah, it's very simple, but it's captures the, like, the dual imagery of the, like, the flowers are beautiful, and we think of, women as flowers. We're delicate and pretty and stuff. I don't know, but then we have all of that beauty is kind of wrapped in a little darkness, I guess you could say, which is the title, Little Deadly Secrets.
Yeah. Well, it's been compared to Big Little Lies. It's in that territory. I'll read a little bit of here. A character-driven domestic suspense with three best friends who are each harboring a secret. Lots of hot button issues here: physical abuse, debt, and addiction. Three best friends, two unforgivable sins, and a murder. It delivers a dishy summer suspense for fans of the genre. How do you feel about that?
It's actually very accurate because I do have three very good friends, and they do have a lot of different characterizations though. Like for example, we have Mackenzie, Robin, and Lily. And so Mackenzie she's married to a man she hates, but she feels stuck because something that one of her friends did to her in her past left her disfigured for life. So throughout the story, she's dealing with resentment because she's been disfigured, and part of like being a woman is we're already have a hard time with self-confidence, and women tend to like be so overcritical of themselves, but she's got this extra burden of not ever feeling pretty and not having self-love, and a little bit of resentment that her friend is the reason why she doesn't feel like she could ever do better than she is right now. And then you have like Robin, your typical stay-at-home mom of 4. Not that that's typical to have 4 children, but usually we're considered crazy, those of us that do. But she does struggle with depression because of the burden of motherhood, and so she copes with that depression through a little bit of a spending problem. And that's something that a lot of women have shared with me who have read the book, have related to different characters based on their own journeys in life and everything. So I'm glad that my characters represent people, but sometimes I don't know that you necessarily want them to be your best friends based on where the story goes and where these characters their choices take them at the end. So
Yeah.
I really love, and in the book, there's a quote that says like motherhood isn't for the weak, and I love like that. And why do you think like psychological suspense or like domestic dramas have like endured so much? Like, why are the more realistic thriller actions a little more scarier than maybe things that go bump in the night? Like, why are they so popular?
For me personally, I got hooked on domestic thrillers as a reader and then as a writer because they are so relatable, where like a lot of horror stuff, you're like, whoo, thank goodness that's not real or could never happen. And crime fiction is so police procedural, so you're more like just solving a crime and you're not getting as into the lives of the characters. But what's exciting to me about domestic thrillers is that we are seeing these characters as our friends, as our, as ourselves, and we could almost see ourselves going through the story with them as if this could happen to me. And like a lot of my stories are loosely inspired by news events. Like you might read about or hear about a mom driving off a cliff with her kids or whatever, and you wonder like how, like everybody on Facebook is like smiling and she's got this whole Facebook profile of all these happy moments, and then suddenly you hear her name in the news. So I was always fascinated by what would make a normal, regular lady, a mom, a wife, just snap suddenly. And that's kind of what I think a lot of people are wondering now, because we're seeing so much, we're having access to so many more of these situations happening in real life. So we're like, wow, what's going on in her brain? And I just want to pick at her brain and find out what's going on with these people and why, and expose it and see what's going on, and maybe hopefully uncovering ways that we can help people that are going through situations that might lead them down a dark path.
It's so interesting that you say that, Pam, because I mean, how many times have we heard these stories and then they interview the neighbors and they say, No, there didn't seem to be anything wrong, but something horrific has happened. And you're right. Most people, for the most part, don't put pictures of the crying kids on Facebook. Everything's good, you know?
Unless
But-
you're my husband. My husband once did that. My son was in our dog cage for some reason, and he couldn't get himself out, and he was crying, and my husband took a picture. I'm like, don't you dare put that on Facebook. They're going to think I'm a bad mom. So, of course, he did exactly opposite of what I said and put it on Facebook. But
you know
yes,
what?
that
But
is not
that's
how we actually.
But it's, it's kind of how life is, I mean, so I love the that trailer it says so much about the illusion of what you want it to be and then what's really going on. It's never always great. It just isn't. I love this this review from Booklist magazine that says Crane succeeds at painting families and friendships in vivid detail. Women will see their tussles and triumphs in these pages and will relish the twists and moments of brave camaraderie and bold revenge. A satisfying read that has echoes of Leanne Moriarty and Emily Giffen's All We Ever Wanted.
Yeah, I actually. What's that?
I said they're in good company with you.
Yeah, I was very honored to be compared to those two and a few others, and I'm like, oh, literary greats. And I think we all shared kind of an understanding of like the nature of women and just human nature too. But I'll read a quote that kind of captures, I think, what the theme of my book is, and probably also what like Booklist obviously got an idea of it too, the nature of motherhood. So it says that was the nature of motherhood. Dirty and selfless, unsung heroism as they tended to real life. Hold on one second, sorry about that. In the background, while their husbands wore scrubs and suits to work, building their careers while the mothers built their homes. The women wore fake smiles, hiding their secrets like they did every day. On their own, they were bitterness, submission, and obsession. Together, they were loyal, inspired, and fierce. But there were some things out there that could break the strongest of bonds, and that something had found them today. And basically, like what that captures is that we women tend to be, when we're isolated from each other, we can feel bitter and like we just submit to our circumstances without feeling empowered. But when we work together, we can find like a fierceness inside ourselves, and that's part of like what the story tries to like guide these characters through. But some things will break even the strongest bond of friendship and the bond amongst women, and that's what I explore, is that something that will tear them apart. So
I feel like this would be a great book club book as well. There's a lot to discuss here. And speaking of which, I'm curious about the conversations around the book. You mentioned your good friends. Have they read the book? Is there some internal conversation around that?
Yeah, they said, is that character based on me? Please tell me she's not based on me. And I was like, well, just loosely based on you. I do most of the like the reader feedback I've gotten is like from my friends is that they understand too. They're kind of like, oh, I relate to them. And I mean, my husband's feedback is always, should I be sleeping with one eye open? Or I was like, well, yeah, probably, if you're annoying me too much today. But no, the feedback's been really fabulous, and a lot of discussion just about, because I have issues like two of the teen children cross a line that in the story that causes a little bit of a sparring match between the friends, a large sparring match actually, and they almost wage war on each other through their children's mistakes. And it's a really, like, we have issues of like consent, and that's a very big topic right now. So a lot of people who are reading it are commenting about like, wow, that tackle some tough topics that are kind of sometimes hard to really, there's so much context so in real life, so they like that I've kind of given another perspective on a lot of that stuff.
Can you talk a little bit about your writing process now? I'm sorry, is this your 12th book?
If you count short stories, I have a bunch of short stories too, so I don't know if those would count, but
It's up there.
Yeah, it's a lot of books that I've written.
But yeah, I'm curious. I'm curious about your, how you approach this, and if this feels different from, your previous publications, and just like, where does this sit in your heart? I know this is your latest, and so I'm sure it's quite dear, but I'm just wondering what your approach is and if it feels different.
For every book, I feel like I've fallen in love with writing even more, and I love my characters even more. And so my writing process has definitely grown as I've written with each book. This is definitely my favorite that I've written, except for my next book that's coming out after this one, I like even more. But I think that's like kind of the nature with each one. I'm like, oh, this is my favorite. Oh, and then the next one, I'm like, oh no, this isn't my favorite, my new favorite. But my process has always been I come up with an idea, and a lot of times these will be during road trips with my husband and with the kids, and the kids will even chime in with ideas. Normally theirs involve like talking animals. So I'm like, or zombies. And I'm like, not sure that's the right genre, but maybe next book, guys. But then once I come up with a real idea that's like a lot of times inspired, like for this one was inspired by a picture I came across of me and my friends in college, or inspired by a friend of mine's experience. And then I'll take it to like the extreme, like, well, what would happen if, and then I just keeping what would happen if, ask that question again and again throughout the story until I have a whole plot. I tend to be a plotter, plotting things out, but then once I start writing, I usually just I just start throwing stuff in there that I never anticipated, and the characters kind of take it away from there. So my process kind of changes with each book, but I do usually, it starts with just like a random idea at 2:00 in the morning or something, and I'm like, oh, that would be a great story. And I always want to include a woman's experience, because especially right now for my stage, I'm a mom. My life is super chaotic, and it's possibly because I'm outnumbered like twice as many kids as there are adults. So I feel a lot more stressed. So writing is like I can get all of this emotion down on paper. And even my kids actually have contributed little short stories for each of my books. They didn't get to do it for this book, but all my other ones, my daughter loves to write little horror stories. And so I'll work them into the story, and then I'll include my daughter's short story at the end of the book. So my next one will re-include her books, her little short story. But I like it. A lot of times my kids are a lot of my inspiration. They're really creative minded. They love helping me. So
that's so cool. That's wonderful. Yeah.
I enjoy the feedback, because sometimes they'll think outside the box, where I'm a grown-up, and grown-ups sometimes can be bound by our own reality, where they're like, but I don't throw in too many crazy things. I don't have talking animals yet. So I try to keep it in the realm of reality.
Well, I think that's probably why people are responding the way they are to your books, because they're relatable, and we all know somebody that's got something going on, if not ourselves. So I think that you've really captured that. It's really so wonderful that we have you at HarperCollins.
Really, I'm excited to be with you guys.
So are we. We have a few minutes before we're going to put you into the virtual green room to eat virtual cupcakes. Was there something that you wanted to say to someone? Is there, or is that later? Is that, no, it's now.
I did. Happy birthday, Mom. I have to say, my mom is my writing inspiration. She is a writer herself. Now she writes more nonfiction books about communities. I mean, hers are all a lot of research, where she'll write about the history of communities, but she's the one that first got me. I don't know, I must have inherited her genes for writing. So I just want to wish her happy birthday. Today's her birthday. And I told her I might sing, but I don't think I'm going to, but I have a little songbird here. I'll introduce my little bird to you guys. This is little Lady Chatterley. Woo! There we go. There. She is my token house chicken, who is named after Lady Chatterley's Lover, a book that set the precedent of not censoring writers, at least romance writers. So she's gonna sing on my behalf. So go ahead, Lady Chatterley, sing to the audience. There you go. She's getting shy now. She's really chatty. I don't know if you heard her the whole time. I was trying to keep her quiet, but yeah. So she's very chatterly. But yes. So wanted to wish my mom a happy birthday, and also I will be, for anybody who's taking part in the show or watching the show, I'm going to be giving away a signed copy. So I don't know how they'll pick a winner, but one of you will get a signed copy. So
We'll take care of it. That's great. And it's and everybody gets a Lady Chatterley. Is that right? No.
Oh yes. You know what? I will personally send you a Lady Chatterley for your very own if you really want one. I have like 30 chickens about to hatch, so.
That's so cool. What's your mom's name?
Anne.
Annalise.
Or Elise. I named a character, one of my kids' characters after her. So but yeah, Annalise is her name, and she's the best mom in the world. Love you, Mom.
Oh, well, happy birthday, Annalise, and thanks for passing on your good genes and inspiring your daughter, because we're really excited to have her at HarperCollins, and this book is a page turner. So everybody, whoever, will make sure that some folks get galleys, and they'll tell you themselves. But we have a lot of people who are watching and writing and saying they can't wait to read it. So
oh, thank you guys. I love you. I'm doing the cool teen thing. I'm trying to be hip. My kids are teaching me all the lingo. I'm learning all kinds of words. So I'm like, definitely educational. I've even included some of my kids' actual dialogue in a lot of my books. So some of that stuff that people are like, did somebody really say that? I'm like, yes, that is based on a true dialogue exchange with my children. So if you think it's not true, just spend a day with my family and you will see just how real this stuff is.
You're in touch, not out of touch.
That's right.
Okay, well, Chris, Laney, is there anything else we want to say before we say a temporary so long to Pam? Was there anything?
Lots of love for the chicken.
Aw, she appreciates it.
And lots of love just for mental health in general, for mothers, for women at large. Just I think there's a lot of feedback regarding that. So thank you for your nuanced portrayal of the challenges that mothers face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, I want to say that I appreciate so much the relationship with the women, because I think it's easy to frame anyone, but women in general, of kind of turning on other women for things. But there's a lot of deep friendships, and I appreciate all of that dialogue too, and kind of sticking for past relationships. So I just want to say that.
Yes, I do. That is definitely a theme I do like to include, is that I do have a happy ending, and friendships can be restored, and like honestly, love can go a very long way in sticking by people. So women have to support each other, and men too. Chris, you're not excluded.
I appreciate that.
Well, I also like, before we just, one last thing, what you said before was really neat, because not only are you talking about women's relationships, but if there are things that people are going through, that maybe that these books can be cathartic, and that it can help people to recognize things. And as you say, that, friendships can survive things and maybe even get strengthened. So I didn't want to get back to that before we, finish our conversation, because I think that's really important. And I love that you're doing that.
And I have to say, you mentioned a flower and women being kind of delicate, but I might have dreamed this somewhere, but I heard like they seem delicate, but they weather a lot, and they go through a lot of weather, and they carry on. And so I think that's a perfect analogy.
Oh, yes. I have yet to see a man experience childbirth and endure it. So until you can go through childbirth, women have a huge tolerance for pain and suffering and getting back up on our feet, I feel like. So
yeah. Yay.
Yes.
Go
We're
us.
tougher than we look.
Yeah. And Chris is very woman centric. I may say that he is just well, you know, I don't know. He gets us, and we
That's
get
right.
Chris. Chris can be in the club.
That's
Thank
right.
you. Thank you.
Official, not official, an honorary club. You're one of the honorary
Yeah.
members.
Yeah, no, he is. He really
Got to
is.
keep the mind and ears open. So that's what I try to do.
Mhm.
You know.
Oh,
So,
that's really sweet.
yeah.
All
Not
right.
as sweet as the little bird, though. I have to say, it's the sweetest darn thing.
I'm just waiting for her to poop on me. So.
Oh, I hope so. That'll be a
She
real
usually
show.
climbs on top of my head to do that. She'll like jump up here and then she'll do it. I'm like, really?
She's the
Okay.
sweetest little thing. All right. So you and Lady Chatterley hang out, and then we're going to talk to S.J. Watson, and then we'll bring you back and just, I don't know, closing thoughts. How's that?
Yes, and I have a little surprise at the end, everybody. So stick around.
Don't go away. You're going to love it.
See you then,
Okay.
Pam.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, she is wonderful.
Wonderful.
All right. Should I
They
bring?
sell lots of books with free chickens. Everybody is really excited about.
I think
a
we should
book with
get some little
chickens.
stuffed chickens, little tiny ones, and just mail one out with every galley.
Little chicken butt, like looking away from us.
I know.
It's so adorable.
Yeah.
Be funny if
Also
we
a
bring
very
back-
mom answer. Like, it's
Yeah.
so cute, but get ready for the worst. It could go badly.
She comes back and there's chicken poop on her. We'll know. All right.
Oh,
Lots of love for Annalise too.
Annalise
Aw,
is
that's so
watching.
sweet.
She commented.
Is she?
It's
Oh,
amazing.
wait, I wanna
Yes,
see
happy
her.
birthday, Annalise.
Happy birthday. Your daughter's lovely. This is so exciting. Oh,
This is
love
a first
this.
for the video, a chicken.
No, I love it. All right. Okay. Free chicken with a book, says Wendy Bartlett. Yes. All right. Where's Steve?
Should we bring Steve on?
Yeah,
All
let's do
right.
it.
All right, I'm bringing him on now.
Oh, Maureen wanted to know what her kids read. Okay, we'll get back to that later. Don't leave, Maureen. Hello.
Hi, am I live now?
You're
You-
live.
I hope so.
I've got a little guest. She's appeared.
Oh my God. All right. All right. Tell us everything. Tell us everything. Can you put her face up to the camera and tell us her name?
She's called Lola. Yeah, she's 10 now, so she's an old lady now, but grand old dame. But,
Oh,
Sweet.
too hot as well. It's very
Hi, Lola.
warm, so.
she what, Steve? She what?
Sorry?
What did you say?
I said she's very warm. I'm going to put her down because there you go. Right, special guest.
Lola. Now, did you get her when she was a puppy?
Yeah. She's off.
She letting you know she's not pleased to be picked up. Is that her?
Absolutely, exactly, yeah.
Oh, she must have been super cute when you got her.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, she was.
She's really so sweet. Well, bye. No, I'm
How do I follow that?
was that?
How do I follow that?
I don't, well, by writing a book called Final Cut.
Good segue.
Nice, right? Nice. So, yes. So, Steve, we were talking before about when we first met, when you had written Before I Go to Sleep, which was many moons ago, and it was just a wonderful book. And then you followed it up with Second Life, and now this is your third.
Yeah.
And just as twisty and just as what in the what is going on here. And so again, hard to talk about a book without giving too much away. So I turn it over to you so that I don't get in trouble. What do you want people to know about Final Cut?
Well, I suppose really the thing that I find particularly interesting with Final Cut for me is that I think in many ways it sort of follows on from Before I Go to Sleep, although that wasn't a kind of conscious thing as I was writing it. But I think once again I'm sort of back in those realms of kind of memory and identity, and although it's a different book, I'm looking again at kind of the bits that we sort of ignore, the bits that we sort of blank out and that we forget. I'm just going to close the door because something's beeping, so it's really putting me off, so it won't be 1 second.
The beeping always waits until we are ready to talk. That's
Yeah,
just
sorry
Yeah.
about that.
words.
Yeah. I think it
Well,
might be
I hope it
Lola's
was-
revenge. She's gone into a different room to set some alarm off or something to try and get
I-
her.
I said, I'm glad I was muted though, but I did say, I hope your house isn't on fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Um,
Yeah, so before I go to sleep, I think I'm once again sort of exploring those same kind of topics. I think it's that thing with a lot of authors that you kind of gradually come to realize what your preoccupations are and what I was going to say obsessions. I don't think I'm obsessed with it, but my kind of work keeps on returning to this idea of memory and identity. So yeah, so the book is a psychological thriller, and it was inspired by, I mean, I've done a few YouTube videos about things that have inspired it, one of which I think we're going to show a little bit later, but it was inspired by a few things really. I'm very interested in the way that I think nowadays we're sort of more and more driven to document our lives in a way that we never used to. I mean, when I was sort of in my 20s and traveling around the world, not that I did a great deal of that, but when I did, I sort of, I would buy a 36 shot film for my camera, and that would probably be it for the entire year. And now, some people, including myself, sometimes get through that in a day, and we take videos all the time as well. So it's quite an interesting change, I think. And so that's one of the things that I kind of wanted to explore with this book. And also I was really interested in documentaries. There's a one that came out a few years ago, which is called Life in a Day. And it was made by, I don't know whether it was successful or got shown over there, but it basically what the producers did was they invited people around the world to upload or to their home footage of themselves on one particular day of I think it was 2014 or something like that, 15, and then it was collated into this sort of 90-minute study really of what life was, what life is on that particular day, which is really fascinating and really I found really interesting. And then the other one was one which it's a sort of, I think it was the early 90s, was over here called Three Salons at the Seaside, which was about a 40-minute documentary following the life of a hairdressers in the north of England. I can't really remember which town it was in, but anyway, it was really fascinating, I think, because in some ways it was really banal and it was just ordinary people. It was women having their sort of weekly shampoo and set at the hairdressers. But actually what the documentary is really about was their ordinary everyday lives and those kind of like moments that sort of go together to make a life, because they were obviously gossiping and so on as they were getting their hair done. And it was really, really interesting. So those sort of things fed into it as well. And so I sort of decided to write this book. And it's the story of a documentary filmmaker called Alex, who she has been very successful, and for her new project she decides that she wants to make a film to examine ordinary everyday life, and she wants to do it in a fairly unusual way, which was to invite people of a town, of a fairly small town, to submit their own footage of their own life, which she would then collate and make into a sort of coherent narrative. And she very definitely didn't want it to be an issues film. So she didn't really want to make a film about a particular problem or particular issue or particular incident. That they were her kind of priorities when she was putting this film together. And in the book, what happens is, as she's putting this idea, as she's sort of formulating her plans, she gets a postcard which says, come to Blackwood Bay, which is a fictional northern seaside town in the north of England. And she doesn't want to, for reasons that we don't understand at the beginning of the book, but she's very reluctant to go to Blackwood Bay. But her producer discovers that about 10 years previously, a young teenager had apparently taken her own life, although there is a question mark about whether she was actually killed. And subsequent to that, another girl has gone missing. So there's a sort of question mark hanging over the village of whether something is going on there. And Alex, the hero of the book, still doesn't want to visit, but ends up being coerced to make the film there. And the book really, well, it starts with her about to arrive in Blackwood Bay. And although she resists it at first, she sort of gets drawn into the story of these missing girls. And in doing so, this is the bit that's difficult to talk about, but in doing so kind of learns or kind of realizes, I suppose, that she has more involvement than she once suspected in what really went on. Maybe that's the best way of putting it. So yeah, so in some ways it kind of it has an overlap with Before I Go to Sleep, although the plot and the characters and the story is very different. And in this book in particular, I wanted to explore landscape in a way that I've never have before. I think both Before I Go to Sleep and Second Life in a way could have been set anywhere. They're very domestic. The drama comes from within the family generally. And with this, I wanted to move away from that and to sort of put things in a slightly more, although it's fictional, a slightly more real landscape, if that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, maybe we could show the video now. If you, so basically what I did was I've put together, as I said, actually I didn't say, did I? But the fictional place Blackwood Bay is based very heavily on a real place in the north of England called Robin Hood's Bay. I didn't want to, I toyed with the idea of setting it in Robin Hood's Bay, but I decided I didn't want to because I love Robin Hood's Bay and I love the people there. And I thought, given the terrible things that we learn happened in Blackwood Bay and the terrible people that live, some of the terrible people that live there, it would be deeply ironic if I put this book out, set it in Robin Hood's Bay, and then they were never allowed to visit again. So it's a very definitely fictional place, but the Robin Hood's Bay is a very unusual place because it's a tiny fishing village. It used to be famous for smuggling in centuries ago, and it's tucked away, so you have to cross the moors to get there. And when you arrive, most of the village kind of it's a very steep road down to the sea basically. So, and the village is kind of nestled in the cliff. So there's one very steep main road, and it's too steep for cars. I mean, cars can get down there, but it's not really advisable, especially if the weather's bad. So it's this village which doesn't really have any cars. It has one main road. And then off that road, there are these alleyways and ginnels. Is ginnel an American word? I'm not sure, probably isn't, but it's kind of alleyways and sort of dead. Some of them end up in dead ends. Some of them open out into courtyards with other properties. Some of them, there'll be a church just nestled away up one of these alleyways. So it's a really kind of magical place in a way, and very sort of mysterious and atmospheric. And I mean, I first went there 20 something years ago, and it really stayed with me. And although I hadn't been there for a few years, when I sort of sat down to write this book, I definitely wanted it to be set in a fictionalized version of that place. So during the writing of the book, I did a research trip, and one of my hobbies is photography. So I took my camera, and I thought it might be a nice idea to make a little film. It's only 2 minutes less, I think, of some of the photos that I took when I was in Robin Hood's Bay. So yeah, if we can play that.
All right, I'm pulling it up now.
We have sound with it, Chris?
Yes, well, we will have sound. So
Okay,
let's
great.
see here. Okay.
The
Love
waves
it.
are so soothing.
I know. Right. It
Yeah.
really does. I can having read the book and then going back and watching this trailer, I think it's such a great introduction to the setting. It
Mm.
completely brings to life everything that was already there from reading the book. It's perfect, the atmosphere, and really like making I think you mentioned this, really making the setting a character in the book,
Mm.
which is really fascinating. What was that like writing such, like, dedicating so much time and into making that part of the story, this place, this setting?
It was really interesting because it was definitely something I wanted to do, because I've always really loved books that have that quality, and where they feel like it feels like the place is another character and they couldn't be set anywhere else, and it's that kind of thing that I really wanted to see whether I could do it, and it was a challenge. It kind of it evolved over time, and I think I knew I'd sort of managed it when my editor read the first draft, or the first draft I shared with her anyway, of course, and she said that she wanted to get on a train and go there, but realized she couldn't because it doesn't exist. The fictional place, and that was a real sort of it was really nice to hear that, because it felt very real to me, and I thought, this is the sort of book I wanted people to read it, and the place to feel real, to feel as though it was a real place. So yeah, it was a challenge, but I really enjoyed it. So
I have to echo what Chris just said. I had not seen that until just now, and it's kind of creepy because exactly what I pictured in my mind.
Yeah.
When I was, you did an amazing job,
Thank you.
because that's what I was thinking. That's what I was picturing. Not obviously not down to the detail,
Yeah.
but that feeling,
Mm.
the feeling that that clip evokes is how I felt reading the book. What Chris just said, 100%. It's really something, down to the sheep.
Down to the sheep, exactly.
Down to the sheep. And the pub, though, there's a different.
Yeah.
What's the anchors? What's the name of the pub?
The Ship Aground.
The Ship Aground, whichever
Yeah.
just calls the ship.
Yeah.
I love that.
Exactly.
I love that. I love the pub.
Yeah. But it was interesting when I was reading about Robin Hood's Bay. The rumor, although they don't know whether it's true or not, I don't think, is that you can. I think it's mentioned in the book, actually. I think I used the same fact, but one of the facts about Robin Hood's Bay is that the smugglers built a series of tunnels underneath the village, so it was possible to get their contraband, whatever it was that they were smuggling, from the beach or from the cove up to the moors without it seeing the light of day, which really kind of struck me as being a really wonderful kind of evocative idea, that there was this labyrinth, and that all the cellars in all the houses were connected somehow, and little secret passages and stuff. So yeah, it's quite and that's obviously quite a metaphor for everything else in the village, given that it's a village of secrets and hidden depths. So yeah, that was really it was a great experience to sort of, and a great excuse to go up there, and I could call it work, take a notepad and my camera and chat to people and call it work. It was lovely.
How often do you go there?
I was due to go last year, but I was going on a walking holiday, which is very not me, but I was going to go on a walking holiday with my stepdad, but he had a slight injury, so that was called off. So no, I've not been for a while, but yeah, it was for a few years. It was every year, and then it kind of got a little bit less often. But it's weird because the first time I went in winter as well. You could probably get the impression from I know they're black and white, but I think you can still probably get the impression still that it was quite. I think it was sort of autumn winter when I went up there and took those. For me, it's a kind of winter sort of works. I don't know if it's the slightly bleak atmosphere, or the desolate sort of feeling to it. I don't know, but
yeah.
So for a while I went up there every New Year's quite a lot. So
fun.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think
fires and and fireworks on the beach.
God, let's go now.
Yeah.
Except I don't want to go where all the strange things happen.
Well, yeah.
And
it's not there though. It's a fictional.
No,
book.
I know.
We're all right. We're okay.
It's okay. We can go.
Exactly.
Happens at the other place.
Yeah.
I love that
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say I love I love how, like what you're saying about how it's, you can sort of go from the sea to the top and never go outside, and there's all these winding passageways and stuff, and that's sort of like you just said, how sort of a metaphor in a way for how the townspeople are, because they are so zipped up.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about what happened,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
but that something's gone on, and that something's up with Alex, and I don't even think that's giving anything away to say that there's something up with her, but I love the way that you
gather that very early on, don't you?
Yeah.
I wanted to explore this idea that there's there are secrets there, and that people feel unable or unwilling to talk about them, but by saying to these people, tell me your story, albeit in a visual way, what Alex does is kind of unlock that key or rather, she unlocks their desire, and also gives them a method of letting the truth out. So yeah, that was quite an interesting thing that I wanted to think about.
Lainey, what were you going to say?
Oh, it's funny you said that, because it's kind of what I was going to say. The same thing, like Alex comes into this town for the film, and she's, they're a little wary, don't want to say too much, but did you get any responses, people, when you talk to them? They're like, are we going to be in a book? What?
No, well, I didn't really tell very many people why I was there. I was just kind of there sitting in coffee shops with my notebook and stuff. So no, I didn't actually, because I kept it quiet. I felt very much like Alex almost, because in the book she starts, as you know, having read it, she starts off trying to be a bit more undercover than she obviously eventually ends up being. But so it was a little bit like that actually. I felt like I was there undercover with my notebook and my camera and just sleuthing around. But I'm sure everyone could work out what was going on.
Yeah, and just to echo what you said, because I do love that, there's that kind of classic Christie style, small town, everyone has secrets, the community holding something, but then this is very much like a modern novel, and you inject that, the sharing, sharing is, like you said at the top of the episode, sharing is part of who we are at this point. So really, like, having those two worlds collide I thought it was just fascinating. It was really effective. So no, thank you. Really, it was just wonderful. And yeah, your video captured a lot of people's attention, a lot of love for the atmosphere. Our friend Wendy Wilson Bartlett with the Cuyahoga County Library in Ohio, one of the biggest systems in the country, she says that you fly off the shelves, your books, not you personally, though maybe that would happen. But so yeah, a lot of love for your work.
That's great.
And your photography. So you wear many caps, my friend, quite well.
Chris, is there a question from Jennifer Winberry, right?
Oh, yes. We have a question about memory. Let me pull that up here. So the protagonist this is Jennifer Winberry, our friend at Hunterton Library. The protagonist in Before I Go to Sleep has amnesia. She believes what others tell her. And then Alex has memory issues as well. So she asks, does memory make us who we are, or are we shaped by our memories? Or what are your thoughts on memory?
Yeah. I think yes, in a way it's an interesting one, isn't it, actually? But I think in a way, yes, our memories do make us who we are. I think without them, I don't know, it would be difficult to really appreciate what it would be like not to have memories, because I think memories give us context, don't they? And sort of to not have that would be really strange. And to have, it's like the idea of false memory is really fascinating as well. And yeah, I find it's very obvious, isn't it? I find the whole field fascinating, and I've sort of looked at it in 2 books now, but obviously I've still got some unresolved issues around it. But yeah, I think it's that sense of like, because they're a creature. My dog doesn't have that much memory in the same way. I'm sure she mustn't remember that stuff, but is our ability to have this kind of autobiographical memory of who we are and what we've done, is that what makes us human, or part of what makes us human? I don't have any answers, but when you do meet people and get to know people who have lost their memory for whatever reason, or are losing their memory for whatever reason, it's quite scary, isn't it, to sort of terrible stories of people whose parents no longer remember who they are because of Alzheimer's and so on. It's very sad and very devastating. And then you do sort of think, I remember my aunt, for example, saying that she felt she'd lost her husband years before he actually passed on, because the person that she'd known had gone. He had no connection. So anyway, it's an interesting topic to think about who we are without our store of autobiography.
And our friend Vicky Nesting from Louisiana, she first one say she loved Before I Go to Sleep so much. Very unique story. And she wanted to know where you get the ideas for your books. But I think even further than that, we're so intrigued, and we've been asking people, do you plot everything out, or do you kind of see where the narrative takes you? What's your style?
Well, all the books have been different, actually. Before I Go to Sleep just arrived virtually. I read this obituary and I had the idea, and I saw a woman not recognizing herself in the mirror because she'd lost her memories, and about a week or so later, the end of the book occurred to me. So, but what was different with Before I Go to Sleep is that I didn't plot it out. So I knew the beginning and I knew where I was aiming for, but I didn't really plot out a route to get there. But as with each subsequent book, I've become more of a plotter. So although with both Second Life and certainly with Final Cut, it was a number of ideas coming together over a more gradual process of building it from the ground up. If it didn't kind of arrive fully formed, if you like, but actually once I was at the point where I was starting to work on those books, I was planning it in much more detail. So Final Cut was pretty much planned out before I put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard. There was still a bit of leeway because I like to leave a bit of room, so I don't stick too rigidly to the plan. I like to leave a bit of room for, if anything else occurs to me, or a character starts yelling louder than the others, and which is actually what happened. I remember when I first started writing Final Cut, it was originally going to be a dual narrative between Alex and one of the male characters, but every time I tried to write his chapters, kind of Alex basically was like tapping on my shoulder going, this is my book, just get rid of him. so that was the big learning thing with this book actually, was to discard that part of my plan. Which I didn't plan on, if that makes sense. So yeah, I do plan them out now, and the one I'm working on at the moment is very, very even more planned. So yeah, I'm becoming more of a planner as I get on with each book.
That's interesting. Katie Stover at Kansas City Public Library, she says, thrillers like S.J. Watson's are like a cardio workout and you never have to leave your chair.
Excellent. Can we put that on the paperback?
Yes. Katie, you're getting blurbed for the back of the paperback. Wendy Wilson from Cuyahoga concurs. So much love for your books. They really are. So they're so different. Someone asked, they all standalones, and of course they are, but they're, there is this connective tissue between all of them.
Yeah. My agent calls it DNA, which I quite like. They've all got my DNA in them, which is a weird thing because I don't deliberately put it there. It just kind of, I suppose it makes sense, doesn't it? They're written by me, so they're gonna have that. Yeah, as you say, those strands, that connective tissue, that DNA. But yeah, So, but there is that there's an overlap in the Venn diagram, which I kind of like, really. Yeah.
We like a Venn diagram in our little Library Love Fest team, don't we? Well, it's do we have guys? I don't want to rush anybody. We will bring Pam back. Is there anything else that that we want to say, or Steve, is there anything that you want to?
I just want to say thank you to all the librarians for all their support over there, because my big regret is I can't be there in person to kind of have another experience like in like the last time. But I'm hugely grateful for all of their support. So it's wonderful. Well,
they are. You can go back and look at these comments, because they are just as grateful to you for writing the books that you write. They're really so smart, and these twists and these turns and the thought that goes into them. And that video is really terrific because it just sort of, I don't know, it really just speaks to how evocative the books are and how Setting really is a character, because it is uncanny how I was reading this book I was kind of reading it in black and white, and I had not seen that clip. So
Thank you.
yeah, down to the steep road, when she
Mm.
first gets there and she can't get down that road, with the car, when she gets the lift for the guy. And yeah, it's cool. It's real cool. Great details, great characters, and great twists. And you don't see it coming. So as you are wont to do. Chris, Lainey, any other thoughts, questions? Should we bring back, it's 3:00, should we bring back Pam, or where are we at?
Sure. Yeah, let's bring back Pam. But yeah, just to echo Virginia, there's a ton of love in the comments here from librarians all over the place. So if you have a moment to peruse, Steve, go right ahead. But rest assured, they're all in your corner. So
Thank you.
let's see. So I'll go ahead and bring Pam on.
Okay.
I really want to.
Let's see. Maybe she's coming on soon.
There's her name.
There we go.
There's her head.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. I promised a surprise for everybody. So can I introduce a special guest real quick?
Sure.
All right, hold on, follow me. This, I don't know if you can see me. Hopefully I don't lose connection. This is Callie. She's one of my biggest fans. She likes to eat books. Sorry, librarians. I'm trying to teach her to read, but she just would rather eat them. But she's my sweet girl.
Oh,
So-
she's beautiful.
Thank you. You might hear my other ones in the background complaining because they want to. Where'd she go? There you are. They
Wow.
want to be in the spotlight instead of her. So, but yeah, that's Callie.
How
So
old is Callie?
14. So she's our little sweetie pie. My daughters really love her a lot.
Oh,
But
that's
I just
lovely.
figured a little extra special guest.
Yeah, she's beautiful.
Thank you.
Does the tail wagging mean she's happy? Is that?
That means there's a lot of bugs on her.
Oh
So she's probably not as happy.
no.
Oh, that's so wonderful. Well, we've had pugs, chickens. I guess that was a chicken, right? Was that a chicken? That was a chicken.
Mhm.
You know, I live in Queens. I don't know. And a horse. And I don't know. This was lovely. We love having all your little four-legged and winged friends
Aw.
visit us. And
Someone said had to beat the chicken, but you managed it.
Well, and I have ducks too. So if you guys invite me on again, I might give you some live footage of like mass duck love.
we're there. We're open to anything. Trust me. Yeah. Listen, this was great. I'm not plugged into Facebook now, so I don't know if there's any more comments or questions. Was there a question for Pam? There was, from Maureen Roberts. Chris or Lainey, can you pull that up? It was about Pam's children, something about what she's reading. What are they reading or something? So I'm out of the comment section. So if you guys can find it, I will sing and dance in the meantime.
Oh, look, there's a lot of comments. So I'm looking through here. Pam, I do want to let you know your mom did comment on our live stream. So
Oh,
she
I
is
saw.
here with us, which is wonderful.
I gave her a little smiley face.
That's fantastic, really. Well, we can always email Maureen the answers later. I think she wanted to know if you something about your kids were reading. But
Yeah, my kids are avid readers. They formed their own little book club this summer.
how fun!
So we picked some of our top library favorites. Oh yeah, they read. I mean, it varies. My son is autistic, so he tends to go for more like Dogman picture books. My oldest daughter, she's I think right now reading. I think she started Harry Potter, and my other two kids, they read. Captain Underpants is a big hit.
Yeah.
So I mean, anything involving farts and poop, it seems to be really popular thriller reading for a 4-year-old.
Love it.
Is it your oldest that writes the horror?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I told her, I was like, eventually I'll let her pick up a Stephen King book, but not quite yet. I'm not ready for her to segue into Stephen King, but she does love mysteries. Like she's been reading some mystery, like Nancy Drew. She likes Nancy Drew a lot. I have old books from my mom's that my mom gave to me in my library, some real old Nancy Drew books, and they started reading those. So I was like, just be careful with the binding. But yeah,
right.
so.
Let's see. We have one question at the bottom. Let's see. Jessica Young says, I'm not typically a thriller reader. I couldn't put Pam's books down. Hang on a second. Sorry. Can you guys see the rest of that? It's at the bottom.
It says her stories are so relatable and addicting.
Well, full disclosure, Jess has been a best friend of mine since we were 3 years old.
I love that.
So, so I turned on to reading because I said, if you're going to stay my best friend, you have to start reading my books. So, but I did not pay her for that endorsement.
That's so
Yeah.
funny. And Steve, there's lots of love for Lola, too, in addition to your books. So,
I would bring her back, but she's gone.
Camera shy.
She's off setting off some more alarms.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we thank you both so much for taking the time to talk to all of us about your books. And Steve, I know you there's a time difference.
Yeah, it's just nearly 8:10 in the evening at the moment. So, yeah.
All right.
Bedtime.
Bedtime or dinner time or something time.
TV time, I think.
Yeah, nice.
Are you a night owl, Steve?
I am, yeah, especially at the moment because I'm not sleeping well at the minute because it's of the heat. So, but yeah, I am generally. Yeah.
Is central air not a thing? Like, do most homes not have central air?
We don't really have air conditioning because there's like maybe 3 weeks a year when we need it.
So right, as opposed to the 6 months a year that North Carolina needs
exactly, it. Yeah. So it's a bit of a false economy, really. But you know, every year that goes past, it feels like it's more and more like, oh, maybe it's not a bad idea to get air conditioning. So yeah, but no, most places don't have it.
Yeah. Well, hang in there. Winter's coming.
Yeah.
Oh man. Well, we are so looking forward to getting the books out there into the world. And once again, we have Steve, your book is a final cut, goes on sale on August 25th.
Yep.
There's the jacket. Do you love your jacket? How do you like your jacket?
It's a great one. Yeah, it's lovely. It's interesting because we've got pretty much the same jacket in the UK, so which is quite unusual. So, yeah, it's a great jacket.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. And Pam Crane, Little Deadly Secrets, on sale August 18th. So August is a great month because we have 2 really great books coming out. And we thank you both so much for writing these books and for taking time to talk to us and our librarian pals today about both of them. So
love my librarians.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hopefully one day we will be able to see each other in person and, you know, carry on. But until then, thanks to Zoom and technology, we're all together.
Exactly.
So we wish you well and good health to you and to everyone watching today. And you take good care. Lainey, what do we have next week?
Well, this Friday, Instagram takeover, Sarah Weinman, Unspeakable Acts.
Oh, Sarah Weinman. Oh, she's
if you're ready to get ready for it, we have a great podcast episode with her. So go check that out.
Sarah Weinman.
Yeah. And then next week is Alyssa Cole. So we're excited to have her. And she's also taking Instagram over that week. So Alyssa Cole filled week. We're excited.
Alyssa Cole, man.
New book. When No One Is Watching, another great thriller. So
oh man, yeah.
People will be watching next week.
Oh, very good.
All right.
And she'll be on with her editor, right? You guys, she's going to be on with Erica Sang. So
Yes.
Alyssa Cole and her editor in conversation about what's going on with these books what goes into them and that process, which is always so fascinating. So yeah, tune in next Tuesday. Until then, be well. Steve S.J. Watson and Pam Crane, thank you again so much.
Thank you very much.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Bye,
Bye,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye.